Hey there, students. Okay, this is a short video to introduce you to our hybrid class, Physics 2. You should be on this page already because this is a video. So I'm going to go ahead and begin by introducing the Canvas course and the syllabus. And throughout that description, you should start to gain an understanding of the structure of the course. First of all, you're going to run into this syllabus here. You can click this and get the updated versions of the syllabus. The only time I ever change it is when students, generally when students request it. I say, hey, can you change this thing about the course? I'll change it, put it on the syllabus, and re-upload, so you'll always know ahead of time if I change this. Okay, so on this home page, the only other two things that you'll ever be looking at besides the syllabus are, I really hope that you'll check these tips for success in the course. And then there's always this course summary that Canvas puts down. I have not yet put the exam dates in there, but you can expect them to be every Thursday. I also haven't put the labs in here, and we'll have a little bit of a odd lab schedule, so I'll go ahead and put that in here pretty soon. Most of your time is going to be spent with the modules. The modules tab brings us to, well, really 5 modules. I just haven't put the 5th one in yet. It is the labs, so I'll be putting those in for you to look at if you want to. That is not going to be a required module, but I find, sometimes students like to look ahead and see what we'll be doing. So that's just for your convenience. Documents and resources is more than just convenience. This is to ensure your success. Number one, your equation sheet for this semester. It's going to be very important. So your equation sheet is going to be given to you on every exam. So it's handy to have it available when you're doing homework so that you get adjusted to using equations before you get to your exam. It is not intended as a crutch. It's not a way to get to your answers on your exam. It is just there in case you forget what the equations are. So that's the first document resource. The second one is going to be linked to our virtual meetings, which I'll be putting down on Mondays and Wednesdays. I recommend that you attend these at least once a week. They're not required, but if you have questions, they're a great place for me to be able to answer those questions rapidly. I answer questions through email as well, but that's not nearly as effective as being able to talk one-on-one, and you may not want to wait for us to be in class to ask these questions, so this is available to you. I've chosen Mondays and Wednesdays because Mondays should be the end of your preparatory time, so that you're ready to come into class on Tuesday. And Wednesday because every Thursday is an exam, so that gives you sort of last minute, well, not last minute, but last day place to come and ask me your questions. Okay, so there may be other documents and resources, but they won't be nearly as important as those two. The lecture videos are going to be a big component of your preparation. We will be in class on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, so I will normally recommend that you spend Fridays and Mondays at the least preparing by reading your text and watching the lecture videos. You should be getting to these videos before you get to class. Otherwise, what I'm doing in class will seem very rapid and you may not be able to follow along. These are intended to keep you ready and prepared for the more sophisticated learning. So week 2 gives you an idea of the number of videos that you're going to be dealing with typically. Each of these is anywhere from 7 to 15 minutes usually. I try to make them a little smaller because it's a little bit more digestible. Week 1 is not really a week. It's really just Wednesday and Thursday. So I have modified, at least this semester it is, so I've modified this so that there are not that many videos, and there's also not as much content only kind of have really one day to do it. So, week one is an exception. Please be aware that the weeks 2 through 5 are going to be chock full of information. And the homework is going to be done through Expert TA. You will be able to click on the first, these two first ones are for week 1. You'll be able to click on the first one here, and that should transport you to Expert TA. My Expert TA was a little different than yours will. They won't let me get from a student perspective. This is what you're going to see. This is what I'm going to see. It's not what you're going to see. Week 1, we'll have a few problems under electrical forces, which is really the topic and information that you'll be covering. But first, when you click setting up Expert TA, you're going to have another assignment here that is going to be essentially not only, hi, this is Expert TA, but it's also going to be a vector review, because I find that a lot of times students have forgotten how to do vectors. So when you click on this, it will get you connected to our course automatically, and it'll ask you to pay for your semester of access to Expert TA, which is like $32.50. If you can't do that right off the bat, it does give you a 2-week leniency, so you can do a free trial for a while until you can get the $32.50. Okay, so each of these is going to be then, this is week 2, week 3, week 4, and week 5 for homework. I also supply practice material. Currently, I do not have the practice exam up for week 1 because I need to rewrite that because I've had to change the content structure for this semester. But I will be supplying practice exams under the practice. These are basically exams that are, or practice exams that are made out of questions that I've given on previous exams before. I also have under this is not required, it says quiz, don't be alerted or alarmed by that. Week 1 quiz videos, you go here and you can see there are videos that are available for you to do practice problems. The way this works is if you choose to come here, and you don't have to, but if you choose to come here, you can click this and it'll give you a problem. You can try it, and if you skip to the end of the video and it has a different answer than what you've got, you can go back and watch how I did it. I've heard that students have said that this is helpful for them, so I try to keep these available when I can. Okay, so that's the modules that are available. I have also provided a tab for discussions. This is primarily just, I'm not going to come here and make you do discussion. That's not how I am. But this is just a space for you as a class to submit questions that you can answer to each other. Particularly when you're studying for your exam and trying to make sure that you understand concepts on the practice exam and such. I'm not going to provide solutions to the practice exams, so this might be a good place for you to go to ask other people what answers they have gotten so that you can compare them. We'll go back here and take a look at our syllabus real quick. Not as quickly as I had hoped. And the first thing on here is my email. Please use this HSU email when you contact me, because Canvas email just sucks. So please contact me through the HSU email. It's much more efficient. We have our class meeting times. You may notice that this is 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock p.m. That includes the lab time. Tuesday and Wednesday we'll be there for 3 hours doing practice problems and labs. I generally give like a small break in, I generally give like a 5 to 10 minute break in between. So Thursday's a little different because we're going to spend some of the time doing review and last minute questions, and then the last portion of it doing your exam. I do like to leave time to where I don't like to have exams that are that press you for time. I like you to be able to have time to think about them. So I don't cut you off at 12 p.m. on an exam. So that should be the general schedule. Again, I talked about the online help hours. I will promise to be available after Tuesday on classes, after class. This is just in case you need me face-to-face and you can count on that time. That doesn't mean that you can't ask me questions at any other time. You can ask me questions by email. Love answering emails. Never gonna bother me with an email. But face-to-face, there's nothing that beats it, including online face-to-face. I know that doesn't sound like the same thing, but it's much better than email. Okay, so you've got your grade structure here. Please calculate your grade according to this grade structure. Canvas's grade totaling it doesn't always work properly. I try to get it to weight it properly, but this is really how you're going to find your grade. Calculate the points that you've made on each of your assignments and divide that by the points that are possible to have made for those number of assignments, and that gives you a better understanding of what your grade is than Canvas ever can. Also, oh yes, let me tell you, the final exam also has a replacement policy. So if you do poorly on one of your 5-unit exams, and you do okay on your final exam, that will not only be your final exam grade, but it will replicate its grade on top of the poor exam grade. So final exam is a great opportunity to fix a prior grade. The laboratory, we're not going to do lab in a way where I give you a lab and you complete it as a lab group and you turn it in. Instead, you will have a lab group, but we're kind of going to go through a lab together as a class. And I find that it's really helpful because nobody feels left out when that happens, or at least, I can make that as small of a problem as possible. So I try to make it really inclusive. Notice that this says 160 points. There are going to be basically 10 labs that we go through, so that will give you the ability to do up to 160 points. You can't do higher than 160 points, but that way you can ensure a perfect lab grade. If you can't make it class and we just happen to be holding a lab on that day, that way you don't get punished for being sick. I'm also supplying at the bottom of the syllabus a concept schedule. So these are the concepts we'll be going over during week 1, week 2, and so forth. The reason I put it like this instead of a section of your book is because even though I'm teaching out of Survey, you might have something else like Batista or some other author, because I don't require this book. Survey will use the same, mostly the same variables that I use, so that might be the best book to have. Doesn't matter what version you get. But if you choose to have some other author, like Knight or something like that, then if you look up like electric potential in Knight, you'll get the same type of material that we're studying in our class. The same concept, it might be viewed a little bit differently, but it'll be the same concept. So that way, whatever book you have, you can look up the concepts and read about them ahead of time. I don't recommend trying to read, from start to finish because it's pretty dense material in physics. I think that it can be more helpful to read differently than the way you've done in any of your other classes. Go to a section and just kind of browse around and be curious. I think there's no better way going with physics. Okay, so that is the basics of the course. Again, please be prepared on most weeks to dig into the material on Fridays and Mondays and be ready when you come to class on Tuesdays. Our first week, we will start on Wednesday, and your first exam will be on Thursday. I have reduced the material to not only a smaller amount, but also material that's a little bit closer to what you've already explored in Physics 1. So if you understand vectors, you should do pretty well on week 1. It's just a combination of the concept of charge and vectors. So hopefully that will be a gentle beginning, and then we can really ramp it up and start doing the work on week 2. So if you got any questions, don't hesitate to email me. I'll be happy to help out again.